It's like the middle of the night, and, I'm just having some thoughts. Well, I didn't wake up having thoughts. I was gonna go out, I slept off, and then started using social media, and I came across this girl talking about her experience with loneliness. And, that post really resonated with me as somebody who has experienced loneliness. And, I just finished crying, and I'm crying tears of joy. But I just wanted to use this as a message to other people who may be dealing and struggling with loneliness. It's it's a feeling that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. When I lived in England, like London to be precise, I experienced a lot of loneliness. And I didn't realize how bad it was till I moved out of London. I remember living in like this studio flat, and every single weekend I wouldn't have any plans. Like, I don't know if anybody can relate to that, but having to go through the week, doing the same thing day in, day out, go to the gym, work, and especially I worked from home, so going to the gym, coming back home to work, and then making dinner, making breakfast, like literally that was my day. And I wouldn't have any plans in the weekend. And for a while, like, I was okay with it. But after a while, it started to take a toll on me because I felt like, why don't I have any friends? Why, like, where are the people in my life? What's happened? And this feeling of loneliness became apparent when I left university. Like, I really started to know, okay, yes, I didn't really have any real friends, because as soon as I was done with university, I didn't hear from my friends anymore, or the people that I thought were my friends. I didn't hear from them anymore. And then I had to basically figure out my life. And in figuring out my life, I had to decide on what career paths to take. And part of that meant staying at home and just like working on my business. And at first I was like, okay, yeah, I'm just working, I'm just grinding. Like, I don't really need any friends. I don't really need to party every weekend. But then after a while, it does take a toll on you, because when you're hearing, because I lived beside a restaurant and a bar, and every Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday as well, I would hear people across the street like chattering, laughing, and I couldn't help but to feel envious, and to wonder what was wrong with me. Like, even when I would leave my house to go for an errand run, like maybe to get ice cream on a Friday night, I would see other people with their mates, and I would wonder, like why don't I have anybody? Like, when I tell you, I was completely friendless at some point. I was, and it was an intentional decision. I wanted to work on myself, and so I felt like I needed to start afresh. I felt like the friends that I had weren't really serving me. They weren't really adding to my life. They just they weren't good for me, And so I felt like, okay, yes, I'm starting afresh. But what makes loneliness so painful is it just feels almost impossible to get out of, because when you try to make new friends with people, and I'm talking from my experience in London, it just seems like everybody has their own group of friends, and a lot of them are not open to making new friends. So it feels like this black hole that you're stuck inside and you can't get out of. And the best way to describe it just feels like despair. Like, no matter what you do, no matter how much you try to make friends, you're still stuck with this feeling of loneliness. And the best thing that I had to do at this point was just to embrace the solitude. But the second best thing was to leave. Was to leave London. Like, I'm happy that I ended up leaving. You know, I didn't want to leave at first, honestly, but I'm happy that I had no other choice at the end of the day to leave. It's a horrible feeling being surrounded by people, surrounded with people, and surrounded by people and not being able to connect with anybody. Like, I didn't know what it was like to leave my house, to leave my apartment and talk to my neighbor down the street and talk to my neighbor like just across the floor, you know? So I really empathize with people who are struggling with loneliness. You know, the only thing that got me going at this point was hobbies. I really filled up my time with hobbies and lots of reading. And of course, it gets old. Like, there were times where I would cry myself to sleep. There were times where I would just like long for a solid friendship group, you know, to do life with, you know, to travel with, you know, to go to dinners with and to celebrate birthdays with. So yes, and honestly, guys, this is why it's so important to be kind to people, because you don't know what they're going through, you know, because loneliness as well, it can also make you suicidal, because it's like, what the hell are you even doing here? What the hell am I doing? Like, I used to ask myself that question, like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I alone? And it's just not a nice feeling. But I can say this, it's not permanent, because, I mean, look at me. Look at me today. Like, since I've moved out of London, like, I'm not lonely. That one's for sure. Like, I have a great social life, so much better than what it was before, and I'm thankful. And part of that was also leaving behind certain people, leaving behind my family, and just like deciding that I'm going to live this life for me. I'm no longer going to, you know, be a victim of my circumstances. I'm going to make friends. I'm going to have a social life, and I'm going to make it happen. You know, so I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful. I just want you guys to know, if you're dealing with loneliness, I want you to know that it's not permanent. You know, there are people out there who would want to be your friend. There are people out there who are looking to make friends. That one's for sure. There's also something that I came across. It's called rejection therapy. And I think it's important to put yourself out there to be rejected constantly. And, you know, one day someone's going to say yes, you know. Try as much as you can to not reject yourself, sorry, to be rejected, you know. There were a lot of times I tried making friends while I was lonely, and it didn't always I didn't always get the best results. Like, I would approach somebody and they would give me a nasty look. This happened to me, like, not that much, but there were girls that weren't so nice, you know, and at the time, I did take it personally. I thought it was me. I thought it was my background. I thought it was my accent. I thought it was, you know, maybe because of the way that I looked. And I remember telling my therapist about this, and, you know, I guess at that point I was able to understand that like there's certain girls that aren't so nice if they feel like you have pretty privilege, but that's a whole different conversation for another day. There were certain things that I wasn't aware of as well, you know, like the pretty privilege, and with women not being so nice and being competitive and, you know, just judgmental, you know, before getting to know you. So try your hardest to be rejected as often as possible. I also, at the time, I mean, this might sound ridiculous to some or even dorky to some, but I used to sign up to meetup events to, you know, meet other people in the same area or like just in the center of London, you know, like I would travel all the way to go meet some of these people. And honestly, I didn't do it that much because I guess because I was very isolated as well growing up, I struggled with putting myself out there. I struggled with anxiety, social anxiety, most of it was social anxiety, to be honest. And so I didn't want to put myself out there. It was very difficult going out, especially during the summertime. And I know like right now, this is the summertime. So it's very hard for people who have social anxiety to go outside. Honestly, the simplest thing, obviously, like social anxiety is also on a spectrum. Like for some people, going out to the grocery store gives them anxiety. For me, like that wasn't the problem. But my problem was stepping out of, like, getting dressed, wearing the full face of makeup, and going out solo was like the scariest thing. And I want to challenge you to do that, because the more you do that, the more comfortable you get in your skin, and the more comfortable you are when you are around other people as well. You have to really enjoy your company, because a lot of this socialization thing is about feeling good in your skin. You're not going to feel comfortable around other people if you can't even go out by yourself and feel comfortable in your own company. So I really learned how to enjoy my solitude, how to embrace my solitude. And I guess that's why I'm a strong person now. I feel like nobody can break me, because I literally spent 3 4 years, I would say 3 years in isolation. You know, I literally just had my family, and my family was long distance, you know, like I would see them maybe like every 3 months, and it was just my brothers I was seeing at the time, you know, and then I would speak to my family, you know, on the phone. And then the rest of it, I would see people here and there. I think if you are struggling with loneliness, the best thing you can do is to join a club, like a community. Like for me, my escape was gym. My escape was exercise. You know, exercise heals the body, and it also builds your confidence. And the more you do something constantly, the better your confidence grows, you know. So the more you move your body, because if you are isolated, you are going to be confined to a certain position. And for me, I'm not even going to lie, there were days where I would bed rot. And so I would not, this is very this is very personal. Like I would not advise anyone who's going through that to stay indoors. Like find something that keeps you active and keeps you out of your house. No matter how introverted you are, you're going to feel so much better. You know, having something that just holds you accountable, gets you out of the house, involves other people, and then you start to actually build social skills. Because like you know, when we were all in COVID and we had to be indoors, the thing with that is, after spending so much time in solitary confinement, you come out of your house and then, let's say it's safe again to speak to other people. You notice that speaking to other people just feels weird. Like, I'm going to speak for myself personally. When I was isolated for a really long time and I came out of isolation and I had to speak to people, it felt very foreign to me. I felt weird around people. I felt a disconnect with people. And we are social creatures. We need to surround ourselves with people and, communicate with other people. And so get yourself out of the house is the best thing that you can do for your mental health. To just be around people, even if they are not your friends, just seeing people and just saying hi. Seeing people at the gym and just saying hi. Literally. I did this for, the first month of me starting the gym. I would just say hi. And I noticed that the more highs I said to people, the more hellos I got back. And people actually started having conversations with me, even when I didn't want it, because I used to be very introverted. And so, yeah, that's just something that I would do. Hopefully, I never have to experience that again. It was horrible. It was horrible. And I really empathize with people who are going through that. And yeah, that's everything that I have to say in this video. I love you guys so much. And I know I've been away for a while. More videos are coming, so stay tuned. I love you. See you in my next video. Bye. Mwah.